So, good morning, dear participants. We would like to welcome to the Marija Sklodovskas Kirī Staff Exchanges event in Baltics. Thank you very much for joining us. The aim of this webinar is to encourage Baltic research institutions, public and private higher education institutions, enterprises and NGOs to take an active part in Marija Sklodovskas Kirī actions. I would like to ask to mute your microphones. Do you all hear the sounds?
Yes, we do.
Now it's okay, I guess. Okay, so first of all, let me introduce our team. Kristin Kraf from Estonian Research Council, Liene Ekša from Latvian Council of Science, Viktoras Mongirdas from Research Council of Lithuania, and me, Justina Lučinska, also from Research Council of Lithuania. We are all MSCA NCPs in Baltic countries. I guess that we should give maybe 2 minutes for joining all participants, and then we can start. So I guess that we can start. I just would like to hear Liana. Do you see my screen perfect? Is everything okay?
Yes, the slides are okay.
Okay, so one more time, I would like to welcome you to the Marija Sklodovskas Kirī Staff Exchange event in Baltics. And I would like to present you the agenda. First speaker is Alexandra Szot-Sobczak from European Research Executive Agency. Alexandra will present Staff Exchanges Action. Her presentation will last for about 45 minutes, and then 15 minutes question and answer session is planned. This session will be moderated by Kristin Kraf. Afterwards, we will have 3 success stories, one from each of Baltic country. Professor Aro Hazak from Tallinn University School of Business and Governance will present us MSCA RISE project, Institutions for Knowledge Intensive Development, Economic and Regulatory Aspects in Southeast Asian Transition Economies. Then Oksana Palikiene, PhD from Kaunas University of Technology, Research and Innovation Project Center will present MSCA RISE project, Heavy Metal-Free Emitters for New Generation Light Sources. And then Maxim Pogorelov, PhD from University of Latvia Institute of Atomic Physics and Spectroscopy will present MSCA Staff Exchange project towards development of new antibacterial strategy for dentistry. And then question and answer session is planned after all 3 presentations. Afterwards, Liene Ekša, Kristin Kraf, and me will give you an overview of evaluation summary reports. And at 12:30, we are planning to close our event. Some organizational aspects of this event. So for questions, use please Slido code 68777761. I would like also to inform you that this event is recorded. After the event, Presentations will be sent to all participants. Also, a link to the recording will be made available. And I also would like to ask you to mute your microphones. And now I would like to ask Alexandra Sobczak from RIA to present MSA Staff Exchanges Action. Alexandra,
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Justyna. So please allow me just to get to my slides. I think it's visible now. So, thank you very much and good morning, everybody. My name is Alexandra Sobczak and I am project officer at the European Research Executive Agency. And I work in the unit which is dealing with staff exchanges and of course also with RISE because we are still running a lot of RISE projects. So here is the overview of my presentation for today. First of all, I would like to give you some policy background. Then we will move to the core of the presentation, which is staff exchanges. And later on, I will tell you about how to become an expert. Actually, this part, I was thinking to present you some success stories, but it's not necessary because we will have excellent speakers after my presentation and you will get there to the success stories. That's why I swapped and I would like to encourage you to apply as an expert, but I will tell you more later on when it comes to it. So let's start with the policy background. So we have the Marija Sklodowska Kirī actually under the Horizon Europe. And what is the Horizon Europe maybe first of all? So it's the European Union's key program that is dealing with research and innovation. And it's divided into 3 pillars. As you can see here, we have Pillar 1, Excellent Science, Pillar 2, Global Challenges and European Industrial Competitiveness, and Pillar 3, Innovative Europe. And as you can see from this slide, we have Marija Sklodowska Kirī actions under Pillar 1, which is Excellent Science. And here is the distribution of money that's allocated to all these pillars. We can see that we get nearly 96 billion euro, which is actually spread over the time between 2021 2027. And the yellow part here represents the money that is allocated to Excellent Science Pillar 1, so it's 25 billion euro, where we find also Marija Sklodowska Kirī actions. And of course, our staff exchanges scheme. There are also 5 mission areas. So the European Commission identified that there are also some areas that need a closer look. There are challenges that the world is encountering and which are obviously adaptation to the climate change, fighting the cancer, contribution to healthy oceans and seas, coastal and inland water, of course, contribution to the climate neutral and smart cities, and taking care of our soil and food. And of course, through the projects that you will run under the staff exchanges, you can of course contribute to these missions as well. So coming back to the Pillar 1, Excellent Science, you can now see more precisely that Marija Sklodowska Kirī actions, they are more. I will tell you now more about it in a minute. Will receive 6.6 billion euro, and this set of schemes, these actions, have a goal to equip researchers with new knowledge and skills through mobility and training. And here you can see in a better view that we identify 5 main actions under Marija Sklodowska Kirī actions. So you will find here postdoctoral fellowships, doctoral networks, co-fund, also a very nice initiative which is called Marija Sklodowska Kirī Actions and Citizens. Maybe I will say here a little bit more. It's a very nice initiative that brings scientists with the wider public, also including children. This is something that is run every year, end of September, and it's happening in the European Union member states and as well as Horizon Europe associated countries. And there is a day full of events where, for example, people and also kids can talk to scientists, can take part in some experiments and play a little bit. And this is a really, really nice and very successful initiative. And of course, we have our staff exchanges scheme, which is quite nice, I think the most international of all those schemes here. And I will present you in more details the scheme in few minutes. So this staff exchanges, maybe I say it here briefly, is supposed to encourage short-term international and intersectoral exchanges of research and innovation staff. And this is actually happening through exchanges. Staff is sent to another institution or another entity. Maybe a little bit about some key figures for the time 2014-2020. So based on the previous programming period, we identified the following figures. The Marija Sklodowska Kirī actions supported more than 65,000 researchers, including 25,000 PhD candidates. 37 researchers were coming from outside of the European Union. The schemes also supported more than 1,000 doctoral programs and 4,500 companies. 42% of researchers were female, which is really nice. And the money that was allocated to Horizon 2020, we are talking about the previous programming period, was 6.2 billion, so slightly less than we have now. Now we have 6.6. And going to the key policies, so these schemes, Marija Sklodowska Kirī actions, have a role to enhance the skills and career prospects for the researchers, are providing training at all career stages. And it's something that should boost the excellent research in all domain, and it has bottom-up approach. So all science can apply for this scheme, for the schemes actually, because we are talking about Marija Sklodowska Kirī actions. Of course, also these schemes are providing attractive working and employment conditions, and they have also significant impact on organizations that are participating in the schemes. There is also a ground provided for strong collaboration with the industry and small and medium enterprises. And of course, the schemes are international and cross-sectoral and interdisciplinary. So now we are going to the main part of the presentation, which is the staff exchanges itself. So I will provide you here with more details about the scheme and try to encourage you to apply for this nice scheme. So let's start. First of all, I will tell you about the objectives of the scheme. So I already mentioned a little bit before. It is, I think, the most international scheme of all the other schemes that I presented you before. It is also intersectoral, and it gives the possibility to exchange staff doing research and innovation, so through the secondment, so-called secondments. And of course, there is also transfer of knowledge that is happening between the organizations that are participating in this scheme. There is also a collaboration. Of course, it is not a must, but very often the projects include collaboration between academic and non-academic sector. And of course, the cooperation can happen anywhere around the globe, which is really, really nice, because you will see later on with the real examples how far it can go with the either RISE or staff exchanges. And this scheme, it's a great opportunity and provides added value not only for staff members, but also for the organizations. So here you can see that staff members can win transferable skills and competences. They enhance their employability and career prospects. They also gain international exposure. and they have the possibility to do networking and communicating with others outside of their organizations. And of course, their ideas can be converted into patents, products, processes, and services. Regarding the organizations, there is of course also the transfer of knowledge, possibility to do networking, and to organizations can boost their research and innovation capacity. So now let's have a look at the eligible participants. We can have projects which are involving two sectors, academic and non-academic sector. And we can also have projects which are only happening within one sector. So now I will tell you a little bit more about it. So in general, in order to have a consortium, to build up a project, the consortium should consist of minimum 3 legal entities in 3 different countries, and 2 of which are coming from a different EU member state or Horizon Europe associated country. And of course, if the organizations are coming from the same sector, there must be at least one organization which comes from a non-associated third country. And now the novelty in staff exchanges in comparison to RISE. RISE was a Research and Innovation Staff Exchange, the previous scheme that was before staff exchanges. We have the possibility to exchange staff within the same sector, also in Europe, between the European Union member states and Horizon Europe associated countries, provided that 1/3 of the secondments are interdisciplinary. I will also explain you this in a moment. We have also projects in the previous scheme and also in the staff exchanges, projects that are involving, for example, only academic sector, so only universities are cooperating or some research institutes. This also happens. We will have an example also in our session with the project that will be presented. You will see that. You can also have projects which consist only from non-academic sector. However, I don't think that we have that many of them. The common combination is actually a combination of both academic and non-academic. So regarding the eligible staff, this scheme is really good because any type of staff can be involved in the exchange. They need to be involved in research and innovation activities, and this can cover researchers, administrative, managerial, and technical staff. For example, somebody who is working on the database, but this database is needed for the project and involves the activities, the research and innovation activities. Each member staff can be seconded for a period of minimum 1 month and maximum 12 months. And here it is also important to underline that this stay doesn't have to run really 12 months. It can be 3 months, it can be 4, it depends really how it will be designed in the project. And you will have the possibility to split the secondment. It doesn't have to happen in one piece, it can be split in several stays. And the system will later on count all this and make a total of all the secondments, but the maximum has to be 12 months, not more. And it is actually for researchers who are at any career stage, coming from doctoral candidates to postdoctoral researchers. And what is very important is that during the secondment, staff has to be devoted full time to this secondment, has to work full time on a secondment, cannot do anything else in addition. And the minimum condition is that a person that is seconded has to be at least 1 month engaged in the research and innovation activities at the sending institution. And what is also important is that the person who is seconded should return to the sending institution and bring the knowledge and share with the colleagues and the organization. So here we can see which exchanges are actually possible. You have here nice diagram, and you can see in the For example, in this green frame here, the perfect combination of exchanges. Also, the whole blue here is something what is allowed. And of course, here the violet color represents this novelty that I already mentioned, that the secondments can happen within the same sector, provided that 1/3 of the secondments are interdisciplinary. And all this orange here is something that cannot happen. So exchanges within the same country are not eligible. This cannot happen. And of course, also exchanges between associated partners which are based in the third countries are also not eligible. But you will later on get the slides, so you will have more details. You can see it later on in more details. So what does the staff exchanges found? The unit cost per person month is 4,600 euro. So the researcher which will go on a secondment will receive 4,600 euro. This is the allocation for this secondment. And this is split into two categories. So we have a staff member category A, so-called category A, and this is 2,300 euro. So the researcher who will be seconded will have to receive this amount. And then we will have a second part, which is so-called category B, which is split into research, training, networking, and management indirect costs. And for this, the money that is allocated and it goes to the organization is 2,300 euro. And of course, there are different modalities how this money will be managed by the institution that will send the staff. These are arrangements that you can actually arrange within the consortium how you are going to manage, especially the category B, because the category A has to go in full to the researcher that will be seconded, but the money that remains within the organization can be somehow organized in a way that you can also reserve a part of this money to support the management cost. Regarding the third country partners, you are also kind of flexible here to choose what how you are going to deal with the money, if you are going to send the money at once to the third country, or you are going only to pay once the secondment is happening. But this kind of details you can also later on ask the participants who will present their projects, because as far as I know, they also involve third country partners in their projects, and they can tell you from their perspective how it worked for them. And here maybe we can have a look about this novelty that I mentioned about the secondments that can happen within the same sector. And it is meant to happen within Europe, member states and associated countries. So 1/3 of the total secondments that are funded by the EU have to be considered interdisciplinary. Then the possibility is there that the exchanges can happen within the same sector. And the interdisciplinary secondments integrate aspects from 2 or more different scientific disciplines. And it works in a way that we will have scientific panels. We identify 8 panels. So we have social sciences and economics, life panel, environment, chemistry, physics and mathematics, engineering and environment. And they are descriptors, so-called first level Marija Sklodowska Kirī action keywords. And you can find them in the REA website. And if you allow me, I will maybe go quickly and show you these keywords. This maybe will be easier for you to understand. Just let me share the screen with the correct. I don't know if you can, just a moment. I have it open here. Probably now you can see it well. So there is this page which actually shows the panels. For example, here you have chemistry, and you will have economic sciences, and so on and so on. And under each panel, you have the so-called first level keywords, which you need to select when you apply, when you start your application. And regarding this interdisciplinary, we have 3 scenarios that I would like to present to you. So what is actually interdisciplinary? It can involve different panels. For example, we will have a project in chemistry, and involving, for example, social science. So I don't know about the character of the project, but if you will work on it and you will have such a combination, you will have to select keywords which are under chemistry. This is quite obvious. And then you will find the social sciences. Or maybe we can take environment. Maybe it goes better with chemistry. I don't know. And then you can, for example, look for keywords which are under a panel environment. And this will be working as an interdisciplinary secondment. You can also involve the same panel, but different set of keywords. You will, for example, take engineering panel, and you can combine disciplines coming from, for example, this first level, which is computer science and informatics, with, for example, the second one, which is systems and communication engineering discipline. And you can combine that, and this could also work as interdisciplinary. What would not work as interdisciplinary is, for example, you take only this panel, engineering, and you will have a combination falling only under this first level keywords. You will have either algorithm or cloud computing. This would not make the interdisciplinary secondment if you have the exchanges falling only under this one thematic keywords. You will have also the possibility later on. I will now swap to the slides again. Just a moment, please. You will have the possibility to see more details and more explanation when you go to the Marija Sklodowska Kirī actions, staff exchanges, answers and questions. There are examples that are more detailed and will present this again. For example, here you have the engineering panel that I already mentioned. You will have here also explanation which is not the interdisciplinary. Maybe a little bit about the key features, the summary, what is actually important for the staff exchanges and what is different than in RISE scheme. So the duration remains the same. So the project can run 4 years, 48 months. The person months that is allocated to a project is 360 person months, and it has changed. In the RISE scheme, we had 540. So we have the secondments which can now happen also between the same sector with this exception that they have to be 1/3 of the secondments have to be interdisciplinary, and the unit cost is distributed in a different way. So we have still 4,600 euro. However, the allocation for staff is now 2,300. In the RISE, we had 2,100, so it's a little bit more for the staff. And the organization will receive 2,300 euro. Maybe I will mention a little bit about the staff allowance. This 2,300 euro is something that has to go to the fellow, and this amount, in case of audit, will be audited. In the contrary, the money that goes for the organization, this 2,300 euro, will not be audited. So for the staff allowance, it is very important that this amount that they will receive, the staff will receive, will cover the travel, accommodation cost, and also anything else like substitute cost. And it can be paid in a different modules. Either the staff will get the money immediately, or it will be reimbursed, or you can have a partial both. So this is something that the organization that is sending the person or the consortium will decide once they start the project. And the budget that it's in general on average allocated to one call that will happen. For example, now we have open call, so it's around 76 million euro. Now let's have a look maybe a little bit closer about the proposal submission and evaluation. I don't know how many of you are planning to apply. However, I will then briefly present you what is important and where you should pay attention. So everything related to this application is actually done via the portal, which is called Funding and Tender Opportunities portal, where you can find the respective call. And if you are completely new to this environment, you need to first create a EU login, and you need to register your organization in order to start an application. And if you will register your organization, you will get so-called PIC number, which means a participant identification code, and only then you can start your application. So you will have to find the respective call. For example, here we will have the staff exchanges that it's open now. It has been opened on the 6th of October and it will close on 8th of March. And in this portal, you can get the link and you can find all the information that it's important in order to apply. And what is also good to know is that in this portal, you are also able to look for new partners. Probably you would like to get maybe somebody new on board. You can also have already partners that you know from your previous collaborations. You are maybe having some good networking, and you can already discuss and find maybe the idea with which you can apply for a project. So what is very important is to get familiar as soon as possible with the documents that are provided also in this portal for you, together with the description of the call. So it is very important to get familiar, for example, with Guide for Applicants, also with the Marija Sklodowska Kirī Actions Work Program and its annexes. You can also see the proposal templates and a model grant agreement. And you will have a manual which will guide you and somehow help you to submit an application. You will also have some frequently asked questions and answers. So once you start your application, as I said, you do it also everything via the portal, everything is done electronically. So you start in the system and you will have to find out the name, the acronym for this proposal, and then you just start applying. The application process is divided into two parts. So it consists of part A and part B. Part A, it's kind of an administrative data that you need to provide for your organization and also for the organizations or all the entities that are going to participate in this staff exchanges project. You will have to provide all the details, addresses, department, and details about the people who are involved, the main contact persons that are involved, that will be involved in this project. And then there is also part B, which is the description of action. And this part B consists of two parts, part B1 and part B2. In the system, you will have to directly encode data which is falling under part A, but you will also find like two templates for part B1 and part B2, which you have to download and fill in and then upload into the portal. So, for example, in the part B1, you will describe the content of your project, of the project. It will be divided into three main chapters, which is excellence, impact, and implementation. And you have to bear in mind that the maximum length of this document cannot exceed 32 pages. However, in the part B2, you will have the possibility to describe the participants, their organizations, and provide, for example, letter of commitments in case you have partners coming from outside of the European Union or associated countries, and etc. You will have details provided here. And also, as I said already, get really familiar as soon as possible with all the documents, because the sooner you do it, the better you will be prepared. And this is actually a key for the success, to be a good organized and good prepared. So here you can search for the organizations and you can add them via the portal. you will look either via the name, or if you know the peak number of this organization, you can also find this in the database and get it into this proposal that you will work on. This is how it looks from the side of the applicant. I was actually lucky that some days ago before we opened the call, we were testing the system. We wanted to see what it looks like and if everything works well. And this provided me actually the possibility to look into the system to see how it is from the side of the applicant. And that's why I can share now with you the print screens from this testing exercise. And as I said here, you have the possibility to upload this part B, and which is consisting of part B1 and B2 into the portal. And you can, what is important to know, you can edit this data at any time before you submit, of course. You can always print a preview and look about your proposal. You can check it anytime and see if there is anything missing, if you want to add something, or if you get additional information from your partners. You can always edit as long as it is before, of course, the submission. And this what it looks when you generate the part A. You will have a view of your proposal. This is the part A template. And here you will also have still the possibility to enter different modules, different sections of this part A, and add information. And as I said, at any time you can actually save your data and access it whenever you want before you submit the application. You will have to access the funding and opportunities portal, and you will find your proposal in a draft form, and you can start again editing. And here, as I already mentioned, the part B1 consists of 3 different chapters, which is excellence, impact, and implementation. And this is exactly how the later on experts who will be involved in the evaluation of your proposal will look into it. So these are also the evaluation criteria which are important. And you can see, for example, that excellence has the biggest weighting, it's 50%, the impact has 30%, and implementation 20%. However, please pay attention to each of the separate chapter. Each of them is important, and experts will look into each section. The threshold that you would need to get in order to have a chance to be founded is 70%. However, usually there is a ranking list and projects need to have a bit more to be founded. It really depends on the call and the year. So I really advise you and recommend you to encourage you to apply, because the chances are quite good. The success rate is nearly 25%. So what is actually the success story, the Staff Exchange's success story? You will hear it actually in a moment from the real examples, which is really nice, and I'm really proud of it. So the important is, of course, the excellence that you describe in your proposal, of course, also the proposed implementation and the impact that it will actually generate. And as mentioned already, the call has just been opened. You have time until 8th of March to apply. The budget that it's allocated is 77.5 million. And maybe it's good to know about some tips and tricks. Even though they might be really very obvious, it is never enough to underline that it's important actually to follow closely the core requirements. So you will go to this portal that I mentioned before, and where you can find all the documents that are necessary for your application, and get really familiar with it, read all the documents, and be in line when you apply with all these aspects that are covered in these documents. Then please follow the guidelines, use the structure that is provided by the system for you, the templates that are there, address all the aspects which are mentioned in these templates. This is very important. Then please highlight also the EU dimension. So you should, by your proposal, demonstrate that the proposal addresses EU policy priorities and or any societal challenges. Also, show in your proposal, describe the benefits of the cooperation that within the organizations and how it will go beyond the project. And what is really important, you should also get, if you apply, a second opinion. It is always nice to ask someone that you maybe know from your environment who has already participated in such application process to get you some ideas and maybe recommendations how to improve, how to make your application even better in order to succeed. You can, of course, also rely on your national contact point. You can contact them at any time. They are also there for you to support you and to answer your doubts and questions. And you can really, if you start your application, do it from the first moment. The more you ask, the more you read, the better it is for you, because then it will make high success possibility for your application. And later on, once the grant is already signed, once the proposal is evaluated positively by the experts and it will receive funds, you can actually also, via the portal which is run by the European Commission, and it's called Cordis, find either the respective call, and then you will have a table with all the grants that have been signed. You can also look with your acronym. You will find the whole list there. So now we are in the process of signing the grants for the, sorry for that, I have here updates that I will have to run later on. So for example, now we have had the first call staff exchanges last year, and now we are in the process of signing the grants. Maybe I mentioned that the process lasts more or less 8 months. It cannot last longer than that. I think in some specific cases it can be 9 months, but in our case it is 8 months from the moment when the call is closed till the signature of the grant. So if you apply, so the call will finish on 8th of March. Then the whole process of the evaluation will start. We will look for the relevant experts that will come and look into the proposals with the right expertise, of course. Each proposal will be checked by at least 3 experts. And if there is an application that involves different disciplines, we also make a combination of experts. So we are making sure that the proposal is evaluated in the right setting. And once the evaluation has been finished, there is also, if there is a possibility, if there is a need, because there is also a second type of evaluation regarding ethics. There are also experts on ethics that are looking into the proposals, if there are any issues that are raising ethics issues. When all this is closed, then we are working on the ranking list based on the results of the evaluations, and then this list will probably be announced beginning of July next year. So then you will be notified if you were successful or not, and then the whole process of preparing the grant will start. And based on the experience from this year, I think the timing is more or less the same as we had it last year. Then the signature probably will have to be concluded somehow beginning of November. And then you can already start your project, maybe even December. Maybe in some cases it will be possible in November if you have to, but most of the projects usually start on 1st of January the year after. So that's what is actually also quite advisable from my side, is that we had also an information session that was organized last year. And you will have the recordings which are available for you. You can find them here in this slide. Sorry, the slides are automatically jumping. So I can advise you really to look into it if you are really interested. You will get more details there. everything is saved in those presentations, and we will have another info session that will happen on the 7th of December this year. So you are invited to participate. I think we have not yet sent the invitations. We are in the process of organizing all this, but you will be notified in due time. I can imagine that national contact points will receive the invitations so they can share with you. So maybe just to mention very important aspect that also Horizon Europe is taking care of the Ukrainian researchers. You can find, if you need to, or the information is there also in this funding and tender opportunities portal. You have this specific section on Horizon for Ukraine, and of course also the Marijas Sklodowska Kirī actions are supporting Ukrainian researchers. But if you go to the portal, you will find more details regarding what is, depending what is important and what you want to know. And what is actually also nice, I would like to encourage you to become an expert for our actions. So you will have the possibility to work as an expert if you wish so. And in order to do so, you would have to also go to the same portal, Funding and Tender Opportunities, and you will have to register in the database. And in this database, you will need to provide all the aspects regarding your background, what you are doing, your experience, maybe publications. The more you do, the better, because we will also, we are looking for a specific expertise, and of course it is good that you provide as many details as possible. Then the chances to be selected as an expert are of course higher. And there are also many experts coming with the experience that they already had projects in the past, or they were involved in any other programs. And it works in the way that there are different possibilities. Either you can be selected as an expert to help us with evaluations for staff exchanges, for example. And you can also accompany a colleague who is going to monitor the implementation of a project that is already ongoing. Or also you can be involved in order to help with checking the final reports. If the proposed actions were implemented in accordance what has been agreed, and if it makes sense, and so on. So I think it is quite nice to have a look, to register, and in case we have evaluations and we run a query and we see what expertise is needed, because this we cannot anticipate from the beginning. We only know it once we receive the applications. Then we can see what kind of expertise is needed, and based on that we find the correct expertise from the experts who can evaluate this proposal. So please have a look, and maybe you are interested, and it can be nice to get you as an expert as well. And I think this leads me to the end of my presentation. There are many details, and it's not possible to say actually everything. And now we have already the first year behind us, nearly, because now we are signing the grants. Most of them have been already signed. We will have this info session and also the coordinators day for applications for the projects that were signed. And of course, you have the national contact point also that will support you at any time, and you can also go back to them and get information. You have everything also in the website. You will get the slides later on, and you can at any time go back to any of the slides wherever you had some interest, and you can search for more details. So I thank you very much, and I hope that you will also have very interesting overview of the projects that will come after my part, and this will be also very good to learn how it is from the side of the project. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, please feel free.
Alexandra, thank you very much for so informative presentation. And now we will start question and answer session that will be moderated by Kristen Kraft. Kristen Kraft, please.
Thank you from my side as well, Alexandra. We have a good number of questions. I'm going to share them also here in Teams, but in the meanwhile, I encourage all participants to log into Slido and post your questions there and vote for the questions that are interesting for you. So we have some questions also that are probably meant for the following presenters, the ones who have actually had the experience with implementing the project. So I'm going to keep some of the questions that are here for our following presenters. But for you, Alexandra, I will start with this question. So you mentioned that the competition is actually quite nice. So the chances of getting funding are quite high. Can you repeat the success rate percentage?
So the success percentage is around 25%, but it really depends on the call. But it's around this time on this number on average. So that's why it is really good to try. I had a very nice experience with one of my projects that I was happy to have in my portfolio, that later on shared with me that they actually tried once to apply and they followed all the instructions, they read all the documents, they applied, but they actually didn't really think that they will succeed. They just wanted to have a little bit of a training in application, and they thought, okay, we will receive a feedback, because I didn't mention, but it's also very important that once the evaluation is done, you will receive a feedback, a report from the experts, and then you will know even if you are successful, you get this feedback, so you will see what you can still improve, what you can do during the implementation. And the same happened to this project. So they received feedback, and actually they were successful, they succeeded. So the first time they applied, they succeeded, but they thought it will be a training for them, and based on the feedback, they will apply and make better application next time. But it can happen like that, so you have to be prepared for that as well, that you can be selected and you have to be prepared to start the work.
Thank you. Yes, this is very encouraging to everybody who is considering, because the usual success rate in Horizon Europe is much lower. So staff exchange is all about exchanging staff and transferring knowledge. So what kind of knowledge transfer is expected from the project, and how it should be demonstrated in the proposal?
Yeah, of course, it depends on the nature of the project that you are going to do. So everything that you gain within the project, which is related to your project, that you gain during the secondment. So you will participate. The project consists of several work packages, and you, in the project, there is a working plan. So there are things, objectives for the project that you would like to achieve with this project. And if you go deeper, each work package consists of actually tasks, and you as a staff that will be seconded will probably work on one of these tasks, and you will be seconded somewhere else to enable to work with other colleagues, with other people involved in the project, in order to complete this task. And later on, you need to return and bring this knowledge and bring the results of this completed task to make the package full. Actually, I think you can also later on ask the same question to the projects. I think they will probably be able to say a little bit more how it worked in their case on the real example.
So it can be rather various and depending on the actual goals of
and what is also important later on, if you will do you will prepare the reports. I mean, as a coordinator has to prepare reports. The coordinator needs to explain what really happened within the project and how the tasks were accomplished. So they will mention it. So it is also important, because we will look for it. We will like to know how this task was done and what was the result and how it contributed to the work package.
You explained very well the unit cost system in Marija Sklodowska Kirī actions and what kind of costs will be covered related to the secondments. Let's go a little bit deeper in the budget area. So how are the funds allocated? Does the sending organization receive all the funds?
It's like that the money is actually transferred to the coordinator, and then the coordinator, according to the person months allocated per organization, distributes the money. And then once the secondment is happening, this money is actually for the reason to support the secondment. So as I said already, the part A needs to go to the fellow, that the fellow can buy the tickets, book accommodation, and so on. But there is also the cost of the organization that also needs to support this secondment. But it will really depend on the nature, what is necessary to support the secondment. I can imagine that the big portion will go with this person to this organization where the secondment will take place. However, the consortium can also agree before they start the project, how they are going to manage the money, because they can also kind of reserve a little percentage of these funds in order to cover management cost or networking cost or some conferences cost, etc. So there are some projects that they reserve maybe 7% of it and they keep it, and then they also support this kind of activities. But this is also something that you can maybe ask the projects itself, how they were doing actually this in their projects. Maybe they can have a real nice example of that.
Mm-hmm. So related to the secondments, how to manage now with the inflation rates that are quite significant in all Europe, and for example in the rent prices that are really going up very fast in Western Europe.
Yeah, that's true that it's really an issue now that it's happening, but unfortunately the money that it's there, it stays like it is planned, how it is written in the call, and there will be no increase as far as I know. So this is something that, yeah, it's happening all over around. We have now really big problems. We see it in the country nearly, but we don't have actually anything additional that will be added later on. So the money allocated to a secondment is still 4,600 euro.
Yes. So as the rest of us, our salaries and our other costs also, we just have to manage better.
Exactly. Yes, that's true. It's co-financing. So actually this is something that goes on top. So normally the idea is that the researcher that is taking part in a secondment works for an institution and should normally receive a salary during this time. And when this person is seconded, will get this allowance to go on a secondment. So this is co-financing actually principle.
Now looking at the small enterprises, so how can small companies benefit from staff exchanges? And I relate it also to the other question, must all institutions involved in the project send their staff on secondments? Because in small companies it is sometimes quite difficult to send someone away for an extended period of time.
Yes, I agree. It is really like that, what I mentioned, it's very good that you really think well about your proposal, how you structure it, and also about the organizations that will be involved, because indeed you will commit to something. You need to have a realistic plan. So if you have a small company taking part in the project and they have a specific expertise, you need to bear in mind the number of people that this company has, because if there is maybe 1 or 2 persons, it happens also. I had also situations like that there was maybe 1, 2, 3 people working. You need to bear in mind that this person will have to go somewhere to make a secondment, and this will mean that this person will not be there in the company. So during this time, the company has to still run, but this person will not be able to work there as it would normally work on a daily basis. So this kind of things you have to bear in mind. However, of course, it is a benefit for the company that this person will have a chance to go outside, will be able to collaborate with somebody else, will gain, of course, knowledge, and will enhance the skills and competences. And I also had projects, for example, in archaeology, that I had a small company collaborating. I think it was something very technical that this small organization, this small company was providing with some I think it was something about the tools. I don't remember exactly now by heart. It happened already some time ago, but I know that this company was specializing in some specific task. It was sent to Japan in order to perform, to help in the laboratory to get some expertise, to get some results from some findings that they had. And they were that good actually there, and the Japanese participants were really appreciating the work so much that they actually involved this small company somewhere else beyond the project. So the company actually got some other connections thanks to the project. So you can see that there are different possibilities. You never know. It can really bring you closer to some other possibilities. So that's also good for the companies, and they can of course enhance. Of course, there is a risk that, as I said, if there is a small company and the project is not well planned, can be a little bit risky. So you need really to think about it, how you are going to integrate the small companies.
And just to repeat, the research centers are also part of the academic sector, so together with universities.
Of course.
Yeah.
And of course, sorry, because I didn't reply to the second part about if they have to always send or what is the role. Yes, the principle is that you second staff, but there are also cases that the organization can only host people. So you need to also be prepared for that, and you need to have a proper environment to be in order to host someone, so that you can have somebody coming, that you can allocate some time, and maybe someone who will integrate the person into the team and will maybe collaborate together with the person. But this is something what you already think at the level of the proposal, so you will already know which tasks you need to do, you have to accomplish, and with whom together, and so on. So this is something that it's a part of the planning. But it's possible to send and also only to host. The best ideal is to exchange, because it has to be an exchange, so that person goes there and somebody comes back to this organization. But there are different possibilities. Yeah.
So the system is quite flexible, and it really comes down to the needs of the participating organizations and the projects. Is that what you're saying? And we are coming to the end of this question and answer session. I think there are some questions that we are keeping now for the next speakers, but just one very, very technical question to you, Alexandra. So when you encode the actual application in the system, it is mentioned that only the person months for secondments for these exchanges will be encoded. But how can one budget and cover the management costs, and how can one present the person months that are related to the management activities?
Yeah, actually, a very good question. That's very important also to know when you apply. So you for sure need to have a work package on management, because you will need to do some managerial works also around your project. However, you do not allocate any staff, meaning there will be no secondments happening in relation to this work package, and also not to the communication and dissemination activities. But as I mentioned before, there is this category B2 that is allocated for the managerial cost. So you can use this money to support this managerial expenses.
So no person months in the project, but money can be used to support these expenses. Thank you very much. And I will give floor back now to Justina and stop sharing from my side. Thank you.
Alexandra, thank you very much one more time for your presentation and for being here with us. And now we are moving to our next point in agenda. So for successful Baltic Rise and staff exchanges participants. And I would like to ask Professor Ara Hazak from Tallinn University of Technology, School of Business and Governance, to present Project MSA Rise, Institutions for Knowledge, Intensive Development, Economic and Regulatory Aspects in Southeast Asian Transition Economies. Ara, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I'm really delighted to having been invited to present our project as a success story. Our project is about institutions that might support the development of transition economies and emerging economies at large into more knowledge-intensive economies. And the key focus is on Southeast Asian transition economies. So these are Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. So our project run from January 2017 to the end of 2021, so one more year than initially planned because of the COVID crisis that extended the project for one more year. I'm from the coordinator organization, the leader of the project, from Tallinn University of Technology. So first, a few words about the background and aims of the project. So the story is that knowledge has a key role in the economic and broader socio-economic development of each country. The efficiency, not only in the creation of knowledge, but also in the utilization of knowledge, is a particularly important factor of economic success, especially under such tough global competition under the more and more globalized world. And achieving those knowledge-based advantages is particularly difficult for those countries who are yet to become more advanced, the so-called developing countries or emerging market economies. And the problem is that those countries tend to get focused on cheap labor as their competitive advantage globally, but they would have much better development perspectives if they could achieve a knowledge-based advantage globally. So it's their innovation, their skills, and other such knowledge-based factors that support them in development. So our project was focused on both the micro level and the macro level. So we were seeking to understand what are the micro level, meaning individual level and company level incentives that support development into more knowledge intensity. And at the same time, we also focused on macro level institutional mechanisms and factors that could encourage the development of a knowledge economy. And as I already mentioned, the particular focus was on transition economies. So by transition economies, we mean economies that are in the process of transition from a centrally planned economy to a market economy. So this transition can be at various stages of that process. But a key point is, as the participants today are from the Baltic countries, if you remember the very end of 1980s and beginning of 1990s, that was the transition process in economic transition process in the post-Soviet Baltic countries. So countries like Estonia have their experience and also competencies in assessing which kind of institutional mechanisms might work or might not work under a bit similar transition that is going on in the Southeast Asian transition economies, Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. So another specific area we focused on was the regulatory aspects and mechanisms that pose challenges in transferring knowledge into economic value. So our project was interdisciplinary, combining economics, finance, and on the other hand, law. And we also had a very clear applied focus, not only academic. So we sought to identify which particular regulatory measures might have a role in supporting the market frictions and such inefficiencies, particularly on the way of getting more knowledge intense on both the micro and macro level. So that background leads to the definition of work packages for our project. So these were, of course, defined already in the application phase. So the first work package focused on the institutional factors that determine or might determine the differences between leading market economies who are knowledge intensive and the less knowledge intensive transition economies. Or in other words, what are the differences in institutions that characterize more and less knowledge intensive economies? The second work package was focused on the regulations and broader incentives that support the development towards a knowledge economy. So it's not only a matter of imposing certain regulations, but thinking through the transition process and such broader development process, which needs different kinds of incentives and mechanisms. The third work package focused on financial aspects, as access to finance and terms of funding are really important for encouragement of innovation and research and development activities and broader knowledge intensification. The fourth work package was focused on regulatory aspects in the setting of transfer of knowledge and such modern digital solutions. The fifth work package focused on training, which was a key element of our project in all the topic areas or disciplines, economics, law, and also in such transferable skills in research management, research project management, academic writing, and methodological skills. And last but not least, a very applied and intersectoral work package on knowledge transfer, so involving practitioners from the partner countries from the transition economies. So as Alexandra mentioned, currently separate work packages on management and perhaps also on dissemination and communication would be relevant. We did not have these when we applied for our project, but as I'm currently leading another Horizon project, a twinning project, there we have these separate work packages, and it's of course in terms of reporting and planning of tasks easier if these are separate work packages. Now moving on to the consortium. So we had two partners from Europe. So our Tallinn University of Technology, which is relatively large, according to Estonian standards, university from Estonia, where we have both economics and law competencies and research experience in transition processes and such emerging market economies. So we were in the role of the coordinator, and the other European partner was from Switzerland, the University of Lausanne, so such high-ranking university with also a lot of experience in regulatory and institutional matters of development and supporting such modern knowledge-based economies. And then three so-called third country partners, the National University of Laos, which is the largest university in Laos, the Ho Chi Minh City University of Law in Vietnam, so they have both law and economics faculties or departments, so it's prominent law and also economics university in Vietnam, and the Royal University of Law and Economics in Cambodia, which is the main and largest law and economics university from that country. So now when we come to some of the key results, outcomes and impact, we don't have time to talk about everything, but some of the highlights. So we had planned 290 months of staff exchanges, and despite the COVID crisis, we managed to almost complete that plan with 283 months, or 97% of the plan's secondments. So part of the outcome is, of course, academic research. So we have so far published or got accepted 24 papers, including one in Scopus top 10% journal and several in the Q1 or top 25% journals. We have also contributed to the Open Research Europe agenda, and I'm glad that this publishing has continued also beyond the end of the project. So the cooperation between the partners has continued, and of course the joint authorship of papers means that the papers need to be revised and prepared for publication. So despite the monetary incentives from the project having ended, the cooperation has nicely continued beyond the end. Another key element of the project outcomes is networking or broadening the networking channels and various events to support that. So we had an annual conference series and summer school series, and also a research seminar series. All these definitely contributed a lot to the networking and such research capacity building. And here I'm also glad that these have continued beyond the project. Another key element, as I already mentioned, is the intersectoral knowledge transfer. So there were these knowledge transfer workshops with all the partner countries, sometimes in the partner country, sometimes at the European partners. So the idea was to discuss and communicate our research and related aspects with the policymakers. So representatives of ministries and some other stakeholders. So the main idea there was to channel the institutional and such regulatory transition ideas to the practitioners. It might first seem quite complicated to undertake some regulatory changes and such institutional changes in transition economies. But when we explain that this is also the momentum or a great opportunity to align the institutions and regulations to the current needs of the global economy, then the chances that such institutional improvements might support transition towards more knowledge-based economies could be achieved much more easily. So compared to such advanced economies, where it is quite difficult to shake the institutional and regulatory environment, because investors and entrepreneurs and also individuals are used to and expect the institutional framework to be relatively stable. The transition economies, where there is in any case a need for the change of regulations and some institutions, it would be very clever to do it so that the institutions start supporting those modern digital economy and knowledge economy and such globalization needs right away. All right, then a large volume of training in all the disciplines covered in economics, finance and law, and as I already mentioned, the research methodology, and workshops to develop the research management, academic writing and such other academic skills, and also skills how to use the academic knowledge for applied outcomes. Plus, I'm glad that there were really visible career developments among the EKID project fellows, both in the third country partners and at the European counterpart too, and also many of the exchange staff from the Asian partners, after their secondments to either Estonia or Switzerland, became much more competitive in getting admitted to international study programs or such visiting research positions. So it was like a such kickoff or amplifier to their international exposure opportunities. And what I'm also very glad is the quite large number of PhD defenses. So under our project, we had 11 PhD defenses. Many of these involved co-supervision or advising from the consortium, and also that we strongly supported the development of PhD programs at the Asian partners. And now for the end, some experiences from our project, which I think contributed a lot to such smooth implementation and achieving the objectives. So first, what I think retrospectively was really very important is to think already in the application phase and in the project planning phase about the incentive structures, or in other ways, what is the motivation for each partner and each organizational unit involved and each individual to cooperate and to achieve the aims and impact of the project. So when these incentive structures are in place, the project runs quite smoothly, and there is no need to find a solution for each particular staff exchange and each particular activity. But once the framework has been set, the staff exchanges and cooperation, I'm quite sure, run much more smoothly. So what I have in mind here is that we had some incentives in how people are selected for the staff exchanges. What is the benefit from the activities for the partners, not only financial, but also such content-wise benefit, like the development of the PhD programs and so on. And at the same time, that also all the individuals involved would be incentivized. And here I think it's also important to consider not only the incentives for the exchange staff, but one needs to also think about the host organization staff. So there are quite many people involved from the host side who cooperate with the staff on exchange. So something needs to motivate them too. So be it the joint research or some financial incentives or networking opportunities. That's also very, very important, in my opinion, to think through already in the planning phase. Another aspect that I would point out is really careful consideration of what to do where. There are plenty of choices here. So what to do on site, what to do online. This is more such a post-COVID experience, but also what training events, for example, to have at the European partners, what at the third country partners, if you have third country partners in your consortium. So the idea is thinking not only about how it is more convenient to do with the staff involved, but also thinking where the impact would be largest and where it would be cost efficient to do that. So as you have realized by now, it all needs a lot of planning, so that the people from different partners would meet for such joint research at specific partner organizations, and at the same time that all these activities would also reach as many relevant people as possible. Another key aspect, I think, is such open and transparent communication within the consortium, with the project officer, and through the web channels. So we had the project web page, the link you can see also in the header of the slides, where we posted more or less everything relevant. So all the staff exchanges, who went where, why, from which university, for which periods, what were the main events, what were the main results, the publications, partners' aim, and so on. And these were also in parallel posted in social media, so that everybody in the consortium has an idea where the project is heading to, what has been achieved, what is on the agenda. Of course, in addition to public communication, such intra-consortium communication is important, and it would be clear to everybody what's being done and what's in progress, what has been achieved. Something else which is probably relevant in case third country partners are involved is that we decided for a coordinated arrangement of travel. So this involves visa arrangements. We had very nice cooperation with the Estonian embassy and foreign ministry. Also, we arranged the flight tickets and accommodation from the coordinator university, and I'm pretty sure this, although it meant additional work for the coordinator, eventually it saved a lot of time and effort to sort out whatever problems with visas or entering the country or booking accommodation at reasonable prices and so on. So this travel and arrangements, I'm quite sure were much more smooth and easy also for the exchange staff when being such centrally coordinated. And something else that I would like to point out is that staff exchange, or in old terminology, a RISE project, is a really great experience in terms of Horizon project management. So I'm really grateful to Alexandra, who was the project officer for our project, for a very smooth partnership with the funding organization, and very smooth and nice cooperation and communication. That was definitely also very supportful for running of the project. Also, I'm very grateful to Kristin for very valuable comments on the application, and such very clear advice in the implementation phase. So what I can say is to encourage everybody who considers a staff exchange project to apply for that. As you heard, the chances of getting funded, at least statistically, are pretty high compared to average Horizon projects. So it's a great opportunity to step on the scene, and at least in not only my personal but our research group's case, it definitely had such huge support in applying and getting the next Horizon project, which is currently ongoing.
Arav, thank you very much. Arav, thank you very much, because you're running out of time. Thank you for presenting your project and for sharing your experience. Thank you very much. And now I would like to ask our next speaker, Oksana Parekiene, PhD from Kaunas University of Technology, to present MSA RISE project, heavy metal-free emitters for new generation light sources. Oksana, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Dear participants, dear NCP colleagues, dear Alexandra, my name is Oksana Palikina and I represent Kaunas University of Technology. I'm from Research Innovation Project Center, and today I am really happy to share with you Kaunas University of Technology experience in implementing Marijas Sklodovskas Kirī RAS Action project. During the previous European Union Research and Innovation Funding Program, Horizon 2020, Kaunas University of Technology signed 6 MSK RISE grant agreements. In 5 of them, Kaunas University of Technology was participating as project partner, and university has 1 coordinating project. The project is implementing by Faculty of Chemical Technology. The project manager is Professor Vidas Juozas Gražulevičius. Organic heavy metal-free fluorescent materials show exceptional potential for use in new generation light sources, such as organic light emitters devices and organic lasers. It is anticipated that these new materials will enable organic electronic devices to be constructed with high efficiency, simpler device structures, low fabrication costs, and reduced environmental impact. So the overall goal of the project is to help develop organic heavy metal-free fluorescent materials for commercial use. 4 specific objectives were identified in order to achieve the overall goal. And the more information are available via the project website as well as project video. Some legal information about project. Funded by European Commission Horizon 2020, the mega project is a 5-year research and innovation collaboration between European and international partners institutions, starting from 2019. However, all we are living in unpredictable time, and there is always something which grows up in a similar place. Someone has financial losses, and as a result, the situation changes. So from the mega project implementation starting, 5 amendments were initiated, and now the mega consortium joins 9 different countries. And when we're talking about consortium composition, the project consortium represents 6 institutions from academic sector, 5 institutions from non-academic, and 2 organizations from third countries. So, to achieve the overall objective of the project, it requires a consortium of academic and non-academic industrial partners with multidisciplinary expertise in several categories of knowledges, such as presented in this slide. And in order to create a specific knowledge, the appropriate expertise is required. So one knowledge category links to another and usually support each other. And it is a good example to show how and why the project intersectoral and international segments will be so beneficial to the transfer of knowledge between the academic and industrial partners. Based on the interdisciplinary character of the proposed program, there will be knowledge transfer between each of the main 3 expert groups, and they are identified as organic material scientists, organic material producers, and organic electronic device manufacturers. When we're talking about benefits, the project is ambiguously contributing to the human development by enhancing the potential and future career perspective and development of the staff members, both early-stage researchers and experienced researchers, through a variety of ways. Here, 3 types are identified. The first is joint research by undertaking new scientific works together on novel computational synthesis characterization methods to produce innovative thermally activated delayed fluorescence emitters for organic light emitters devices and material for organic lasers, and of course publish the result in international peer-reviewed journals. The second one is know-how transfer trainings, both for early stage researchers as well as experienced researchers, and they benefit from training workshop in specific scientific and technical project topics. And numerous early stage researchers and experienced researchers will participate in the project secondments exchange, where they on-the-job research trainings include different technical project topics such as quantum chemistry calculation, synthesis characterization, thermally activated delayed fluorescent emitters, and etc. The second moment is that each secondment provides benefit for the both hosting and sending institutions by achieving transfer of knowledge between participating institutions and developing new and lasting research cooperation. In our case, mega existing network, let's say, is really very strong. The scientific and technical collaboration between mega project partners is continuing from the 7th framework program, together with the same partners from Germany, Luxembourg, France, United Kingdom. We implemented 4 projects before, in 2 of which KTU was a project coordinator. And here maybe it's worth to mention that one of the project of the mega project partner is consultancy company, which help research team to prepare the grant application and participate itself in the consortium as a project partner with its competence and knowledge. During the project implementation, we identify 4 challengeable issues. First of all, managing of project activities due to different countries' regulations and internal partner institutions' rules. In this situation, each partner institution appointed the one responsible person for address these issues. As well, we also recommend to have a smooth communication inside the institution with the administrative units, I mean legal, financial, and etc. In addition, at Kaunas University of Technology, the project manager, Professor Gražulevičius, and his team has a comprehensive support and assistance from the Research and Innovation Project Center in coordination mega project at any point. The second challenge we face on is the large number of secondment. In mega project, we have 359 secondments months. And during the proposal implementation state, it is quite easy to plan the secondment between institutions. However, our recommendation to plan them responsibly and think about the particular researcher person. His or her duty in the sending institution must be evaluated as well. The second challenge is, of course, let's say, pandemic situation, which unfortunately implementing mega project was not predicted. And during at least 1 year wasn't carried any secondments at all. According to the secondment plan, in our case, it was near 30 secondments were postponed to the next project implementation year. And the fourth challenge we identify is any discussion issues between project partner. If any question or problem occur, please don't hesitate. First of all, contact project coordinator, and if this not be solved, please communicate with the European Commission project officer assigned to the project. The suggestion we can provide by mega project implementation, we try to group in 2 categories. The suggestion during grant application process. Hope you all agree with us that the project proposal is preparing in line with the appropriate work program, call documents, and other relevant strategic document. The application process in this situation goes quite smoothly. And in this point, our key message and recommendation is Please start to prepare the application process as soon as possible. Clear, read, and respond to all relevant issues in the proposal. The second point is that in mega project consortium, partners have experience in implementing the European Union financed projects before, and many other mega projects have connections with each other implementing the 4 projects before. So our key message is identify and include to the consortium only reliable partners. Of course, the COVID-19 pandemic situation adjusted the project secondment plan, and many planned secondments, as I mentioned, were postponed to the following years. And in mega project situation, in collaboration with the European Commission project officer, the project amendment was initiated, and the duration of mega project was extended from 48 to 60 months. And at this point, the important message from us is that the secondments should be realistic and achievable. And during the project implementation process, to be more precise, maybe in the beginning of the project implementation, it is very important to clearly identify project management structure and responsibilities, who and for what will be responsible. Usually, it is doing based on the project partner's complementary experience and competences. For example, one project partner can be very strong in IP issues, another in dissemination, communication, and etc. Very important point is focusing on the project results. As I mentioned before, mega project partners, let's say existing network, is really very strong, and the experience of working together was very effective. Up to today, about 80% of the planned deliverables are achieved, submitted and approved by European Commission. Already produced 16 publications, where plan was to have up to 10 of them. Risk management is also very, very important. In mega project case, 2 non-academic industrial partners were left to the consortium. And of course, due to Marija Sklodowska action, they must be changed by other partners. However, the secondment from academic sector institutions must be performed to non-academic and otherwise. The similar situation was with academic partners. In addition, partners from the Ukraine and Germany must reduce in a number of secondments, and 2 new higher education institutions from Malaysia and Yerevan joined the consortium. So part of secondments were distributed between new partners. And in conclusion, we try to identify the key benefits, and they will be the following. MSK RISE action help, first of all, to train a new generation of scientists in an interdisciplinary way, and support as well as motivate young researchers in performing their research works in other project partner institutions. The second, through the secondments, trainings, workshops, and other outreach activities, the staff exchange provides such kind of a platform where academia and industry can interact and join forces for rising the seconded staff research career at Europe and beyond. And the third, collaboration experience, new scientific ideas, new achievements raised by joint research brings a lot of satisfaction and make more stronger career path for the researcher, as well as more visible project partners, sending and hosting institutions both at European and global levels. Thank you for your attention.
Anna, thank you very much for your presentation and for sharing your experience. And now I would like to ask Maxim Pogorelov, PhD from the University of Latvia, to present MSA Staff Exchanges project toward development of new antibacterial strategy for dentistry. Maxim, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Stina. Thank you, Justina and Leona, to invite me for this event. And first of all, I would like to share some piece of beauty. You can see a sunset from our laboratories. Our PhD students not only doing science, but time to time they are looking to the window and can make very beautiful photos. And you can realize that sunset in Latvia are very beautiful. I will not warn you during my talk with project details, but we'll try to share some tips and tricks and at least our vision how to be successful in Marijas Sklodovskas Kirī staff exchange project applications. So first of all, I would like to share information that this year we submitted 2 projects. And finally, we got both projects. The first Ergo project was dedicated to development of new strategy for medical application of nanomaterials, particularly in dentistry. And another one, MXMAP, will be evaluate novel 2D nanostructure vaccines towards their immune application. So, despite the both projects are dedicated for, let's say, medical application, first point that we discussed during the project preparation was in which panel we are going to submit the project. And in my opinion, it is very important to find the right panel. And finally, we submit Ergo to the life science panel, MXMAP to chemistry panel. It's due to balance between expertise. So in Ergo it's more about really final medical application, but MXMAP project was to study the relation between the chemical structure and biological effects. The first project, Ergo project, composed with 3 academic partners and 3 industrial partners, while MXMAP has on board 7 academic partners, 3 industrial and 4 associate partners. And we call this project like from sea to sea, Ergo from the Baltic Sea to Ukraine and Black Sea, MXMAP from ocean to ocean. Taking into account that Ergo project, we are coordinate Ergo project and it is relatively smaller than MXMAP, I will show our vision based on Ergo project. After we got information that project, we usually just meet with our group and try to analyze why this project was successful. And in our opinion, there are 2 main factors how to make the successful application. First of all is a project research idea. It should be with high novelty. Just to remind that Alexandra told in first presentation today that Marijas Sklodovskas Kirī action is in first pillar, excellent science. Your research should be about the state of art, and you need to clearly demonstrate this. The second one, your idea must be feasible. In your proposal, you not need to be over-optimistic. You need to be realistic, and you need to demonstrate that your project are feasible and should implement within 4 years period. And the last important issue is a project impact. How your project will impact in research society and in business. So your idea should have at least European impact, but maximum global impact. And the second very important issue is balanced consortium. First of all, we need to keep balance between academia and SME and business. It is very important because first of all, if you have a few SMEs on board, or you have no third partners organization, it is very hard to organize the secondments and balance the secondments. The second ones, it is very hard to show feasibility and impact of your project, especially in business and in economy. Second one, balance in expertise. Especially taking into account that from this year it is possible to organize interdisciplinary secondments. It is like a great achievement in this scheme. If you just put consortium together only with, I don't know, biologists and medicine, it will be very hard to demonstrate at least the novelty and feasibility of this project. And the third one is balance in research. Your research task should be distributed between partners. I mean, not like equally distribute, but distribute depends on capacity of partners organization. For sure, for some micro SME in on board of your project, it is very problematic to demonstrate to put a lot of responsibility and a lot of task to this organization. But from other case, if you have prestigious university on board and allocate just very little task, so expert could ask why this partner, why you need this partner on board. On the next slide, I would like to show how we put partners together, and I use example of Argo project. So the first organization, coordinator organization, Latvia University. I'm like new here in Latvia, just 1 year. 2 years ago, I submit Marijas Sklodovskas Kirī individual fund. I passed threshold, but unfortunately they had not enough fund to finance my staying here in Latvia. But the structural fund of Latvia covered my stay, and now I hope that they are happy that they support my postdoc here in Latvia. Well, the next partner, Sumy State University from Ukraine. First of all, is my home university, and Professor Roman Moskalenko, who is leading from Ukraine, he's my best friend and like leading pathologist, clinical pathologist in Ukraine. The nanowave company from Poland, it is our partner from another Marijas Sklodovskas Kirī RISE project, NanoServe. He joined this project during our first amendment, and frankly speaking, Argo project is around the nanowave nanoparticles and around their great expertise in production of nanoparticles. Another project, another partner, Sensographer, spin-off company from Lithuania, from Vilnius. It's our partner from another partners, Marijas Sklodovska Staff Exchange project, CAN-BSE. Next, UMA University is our partner from Erasmus K-Action 1 project. We had, between Sumy State University and UMA University, we had this project, and it is a very good example how the educational project could give your partner for research. And the last partner, UMA Dental Laboratory, it's the partner of UMA University and our, end user and validator of our idea how to implement our treatment in dentistry. I had, till this time, I had applied just for 11 RISE Staff Exchange project and have now like a super big experience, and I asked myself how another organization and now another researcher finds the partners. And finally I found information from University of Cambridge. They calculate the different consortium composition, and they found that around 50% of consortium usually made of existing partners. You have partners, you trust them, and just put on board. Another 40% is the partners of existing partners. Yeah, it's easy. You can ask your partner, do you have friend with such expertise, and it is easy also to invite them. And only around 10% is partners from that find by partners search tools, info days, and conference. But I think we not need to ignore this possibility, because at least you can find partners for research in this event, and later on you can submit very good project. And in my experience, the most challenging issue during the staff exchange project preparation is how to recruit SME, small and medium enterprises, and how we resolve this challenge. First of all, I ask myself why it is hard to involve SME to the project. And the question is very simple. First of all, staff exchange project have no direct R&D budget. You cannot pay salary for new staff. You cannot buy equipment. And it is sometimes really big problem for company, because the company mission is primary is not science to earn money and to distribute their knowledge, their products within the market. Not clear direct impact. It is very hard to show what impact we can expect for company development. And also it is very hard to manage with secondments from the company. Some company just thinking that it's a loss of personnel during the secondment. Also you can find the issue that company don't love to invite a lot of secondaries. They have no capacity to host, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 people at the same time. But we need to use our communication skills and explain the company what benefits and how to get, from my experience, how to get partners, SME partners on board. First of all, the company should have access to research facility. If it's small SME or spin-off company, usually they don't have, you cannot expect that companies, small and medium enterprises should have, I don't know, scanning electron microscope or advanced cell culture facility. And within this project, you can provide access for research facility. Another, you could provide access for new technology that company don't have. And third, it's some kind of access to new market. And you need to take into account that if you create intellectual property right within the project, it will be co-shared between all partners organization. And this company also, as a part of consortium, will own this IPR and later on use on market. And just a simple example, company Nanowave, for sure, we offer research facility because it's very small company, just 3 or 4 people, and they have no characterization equipment, for example, scanning electron microscope, TEM, cell facility. Also, we provide a new technology because they use nanoparticles for some cosmetics and animal treatment, but we provide technology for dental treatment. Another company, Sensographer, originally this company is produced some spectroscopic equipment and offer characterization equipment. But we add new technology for this company. And the same for Umea Dental Laboratory. They currently develop some ceramics for dental treatment, and we provide new technology and new market. We just offer possibility to use new technology to create new products. For sure, vice versa. Their company just provide us access to new ideas. The company provide access to new technology. In our case, for example, it was nanoparticles that very beautiful nanoparticles that synthesized by Nanowave company. And at the end, I just would like, any history should finalize by some advice, and it's usually never ever give up. Because our first project, MXMAP, it was our 4th attempt. It was like a tradition. Each year I go to my partner, okay, are you going to submit this project again? Yeah, sure. And we're thinking about the consortium, and finally this year we get 94 units from 100, and we got this project. The second Argo project, just July 4, we received the information that our project is in waiting list. Given the budget limit of the call, we have now this project. But then in 1 month and 2 weeks, we have another mail that we are pleased to inform you that we are now in a position to propose your proposal for a grant preparation. Taking into account this mail, I'm here and share my experience with this project. Thank you very much.
Maxim, thank you very much for your presentation and for sharing your experience. And I would like to thank all project coordinators from 3 Baltic countries to being here with us, to sharing their experience, to pressing points what are the main risks, challenges, for giving tips, advices that may occur. I really believe that it will be very helpful for future applicants from our countries. And now I would like to ask Kristin Kraft to take a floor and for 10 minutes for question and answer session. Kristin?
Thank you very much for the very inspiring presentations, and we have a number of questions that are specifically for the applicants. So I will be able to share my screen in just 1 second, and then I will ask the questions from you. Okay, so we are here with some of the questions that really are specific to the implementation phase. And you already explained in your presentations how you built this consortium. You explained the difficulties and the considerations, and we could see that the consortia really are quite different. So is there anything that you might want to add to partnership building, how to build a winning consortium, and also maybe what is considered a good networking practice between the consortium? So I would start with Oksana, perhaps.
As in our case, as I mentioned, if we're talking about our coordinating project, we have a strong relationships between project partners before, and it is very important, as mentioned also Maxim, we have to find the relations and grow them up to have these collaborations to have an opportunity to communicate, to make the proposal together. Also very important, the experience of these project partners from the previous project works, and so
yeah, thank you very much, Oksana. It was very clear. You had many previous contacts. Aro, was it also the case for your project that you had previous working relationship with all the partners, all the third country universities?
We had the contacts with the National University of Laos, where I had been on an Erasmus project exchange, and with the Vietnamese university with whom our law department had the previous cooperation experience, but with the Cambodian partner we didn't have any previous contact. So I would stress here, in addition to using these previous existing networks, also the important aspect that the goal of the project or the aim of the project is key in compiling the consortia. So, for example, in the case of our project, Cambodia was the missing element. Then we had the full set of the Southeast Asian transition economies. So we just approached the most relevant and prominent university in Cambodia, looking for a person who had previous such international collaboration. And when they heard about the idea, they were very happy to join, and we try to get reasonable assurance that they are committed and trustworthy, and that was definitely the case.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Maxim. You already explained how you built up your project, so I will shoot the next question to you. So you already touched upon this. So what are the most common implementation issues that the project faced? So Oksana mentioned that it was difficult to implement all the secondments, and Maxim, in your case, you mentioned the involvement of SMEs. Is there anything else that you would like to bring out from the challenges part of implementing such a project?
It's very hard to say, because a lot of issues happens. So as my friend told, that we don't know what happens, but anyway, we know that amendment should be. So because yeah, it's life, and so time to time we have changes in research group, we have changes even on SME status, so we need to sometimes we even require a new expertise within the project. We understand that we have the lack of some expertises, so and in this case, from my experience, for example, in previous current NanoSurf project, we already asked for 2 amendments. So, and for sure, it's like stole our time, but finally we get new project consortium structures that help us to go forward.
And I will use the benefit that we still have Alexandra with us. So I assume that amendment requests are quite frequent in case of staff exchanges. So how does it look like from the REAS side?
Yes, indeed. As already Maxim mentioned, the amendment can occur actually at any time, because there are changes happening when you implement the project. The most important is actually when you identify there is something going on. The best is to contact your project officer as soon as possible and to get guidance what to do. And sometimes it happens that a change will not require an amendment actually, because it's something very small, but nevertheless it's good to discuss it with the project officer. And if is the case that there is no need for an amendment, you would still need to report it in the periodic report. Once you get there. However, regarding the amendment process, yes, you will get all the instructions from your project officer, and you will have to actually request this amendment via the portal, and then you will have to provide details why you are going to amend, what happened, justification for that, as many details as possible, of course reasonable, not to write several pages, but to explain what happened, to understand the situation, and then you will have to actually in the portal make the changes to the grant that you already have signed. So you will have to, it depends on the amendment, because there can be anything. You can change the beneficiary, you can add new partner, you can do some modification in the description of actions and the secondment plan, changing bank details and so on and so on. But nevertheless, for any changes that will require an amendment, you will need to submit this request via the portal. and then you will have to follow the instructions, what needs to be changed. So from the moment when you submit your request and it's valid, this request is valid and approved by the project officer, then the REA will have 45 days to execute this amendment. It means that it requires also several actors. It's not only project officer, but it's also a financial and legal department that will verify this amendment if from the legal point of view everything is clear and clarified. And later on it goes to the person, to the final authorizing officer who is signing this amendment in the system, and then you are notified that the amendment has been done, and then you actually go on with the implementation of the project. But if you encounter any issue, please do not hesitate. You contact the best your project officer, and then you seek for advice, and you will be guided. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. It is the project officer is the best friend of anyone implementing such a project, and also NCPs can help in case of smaller issues. And looking at the time, I will now ask the last question. But before, I can see that someone has requested the presentations. Yes, we will share all of the presentations with you after this event. But just a very small question to end this Q&A session. So you, in all of your projects, you had training elements. So maybe just 2 words about the training, Maxim, in your project.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, it's individual training through the research. So when we're planning the secondment, we are planning what training will be provided to the secondees and what training should provide seconded person. So to share the knowledge from host institution and to host institution. It's like individual training. Also within our project, we are planning and realize summer school. And summer skills where we involved researcher from all partners organization, and traditionally we try to organize this summer school together with some conferences. So to combine training, networking, and the dissemination activities, and yeah, in first. And also it is important to keep the balance between hard skills training and soft skills training, especially for young generation. So yeah, that's the main issues.
Aro, in your case, you had specific training for the participants from the transition economists, so that was also a structured training, I suppose.
Yes, there were like several elements of training. So overall, what I could say in summary is that the training needs to be such aim-driven or goal-driven. Again, and depends on the needs. But in addition to what has been said previously, what we did in addition to training the seconded staff was that when the European partners, professors and researchers were visiting the third country partners, we had training events where a much broader range of local research could attend, and also we had a special such aim or sub-aim of delivering lectures to the students at the partner universities, so that already from such student age these topics would be promoted that otherwise would perhaps not be included in the study curricula. So yeah, such soft skills, hard skills, and to a much broader range than just the seconded staff.
Thank you very much for these answers. I will now close the question and answer session so that we can move on with the agenda, and I pass the floor back to Justina.
Yes, thank you very much one more time for all our presenters. And now we move to our last point in our agenda. So we will present you an overview of evaluation summary reports. And I would like to ask Liana to start.
Thank you very much. I hope you all see the presentation. So as we are running late, I believe we're just gonna jump over the presentation and highlight the main points. You will have the presentation, so we invite you to study closer the presentation once you have it. So we, national contact points, have analyzed the evaluation summary reports from the previous call from the Baltic applicants. We will just show you the award criteria and the strengths and weaknesses that have been recognized from our applicants. I will represent the excellence part. So as you have heard many times from this year's event, then Marijas Sklodovskas Kirī actions stand for the excellence pillar, so the first pillar, and also for the evaluation, the excellence criterion has the weight of 50%. So this is very important in your proposal. And there are 3 subcriterions that I will also show a bit closer. So the first subcriterion is quality of your objectives. So the strengths that has been recognized for this part and proposals that have been submitted, so that the objectives are clearly defined, they are measurable and verifiable, also very well argued and ambitious. So it is important to clearly describe the objectives. You need to prove how you're going to achieve them, how you're going to verify them. And as a strength, there was also been recognized that they are closely aligned with the project work packages, and they are measurable and verifiable, as already said. So this is the best practice, how should you describe the objectives, but the weaknesses have been that the objectives are too ambitious. They are not sufficiently described. It's not clear how to measure and verify them, and also how to achieve them in real life. And also the means of measurements of your objectives are not clearly explained. Then there also is the second part for this subcriterion, which also concerns the excellence itself. So the ambition, novelty, and how does your project idea go beyond the state of the art. So the good practice is that the state of the art is convincingly analyzed. You provide relevant contextual background. The originality and the innovative aspects are very well demonstrated. Also, if there are expertise and methods from different disciplines, they are brought together and convincingly identified. In some projects, there have been high risks. So in this situation, it was important that there are preliminary results represented, done by the previous, like the consortium partners. But the weaknesses has been that the innovation and ambition of your proposed idea is too low. It's not provided sufficiently what's going to be the novel approaches from your project. The state of the art is not clearly specified and also not adequately embedded in the current state of the art. So there has been limited references to the current literature and also debate within the academia. So then the second subcriterion concerns basically on methodology. In this slide, I will touch on methodology and 3I principle, which is international, interdisciplinary, and intersectoral approaches. So in this part, it is important to have a very good, sensible, and coherent use of methods with a high technical merit. Also, clearly, multidisciplinary methodology is described, credible, and also in line with the objectives. For the interdisciplinary aspects in the proposal, there was a considered combination of academic and SME. So also there was participants from EU and third countries. And also the interdisciplinary intersectoral approach is very well described. And what is also very important, that these aspects and approaches are very relevant to your proposed project idea. And the weaknesses that this methodology is insufficiently described, lack description, they're very briefly explained and do not cover all the objectives. And the second part from this sub-criterion concerns horizontal aspects that also are relevant for the whole Horizon Europe program. And this is gender dimension, other diversity aspects, and open science practices. The strengths are, as previously, that open science practices, so you have very well addressed these practices. It is clearly explained, and it is excellent. So in the project, you have excellent explanation of open publications and dissemination. The data sets are publicly available. There's a clear statement on open science practices, and also how you're going to handle the data management, and they're in line with the FAIR principles. So the FAIR principles are that the data are findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And for the gender dimension, that this dimension has been sufficiently taken into the consideration. So, and the weaknesses have been that there is a lack of specific gender dimension actions. It is not clearly discussed, like also the other diversity components, if they are relevant for the project topic. It is too vaguely presented. So the open science practices, the measures are not convincingly described, and they are not, and the data management plan is not aligned with the FAIR principles. And the last sub-criterion for the excellence part is the interaction between the participating organizations. So in this part, as strength has been recognized that the quality of the interactions is very clearly articulated. That is, the collaboration is carefully prepared. So based on partner meetings, webinars, workshops, summer schools, and some other events, contribution of each participating organization is very convincingly explained. There are also networking activities. They're well justified. They're internal and external activities. Also, very detailed event plan is presented, and it is important that the project team that will be involved in the project brings together a complementary set of skills and experience, so that there's also benefit for all. But the weaknesses is that the project activities are not sufficiently justified. For this example, there was it lacked for a certain partner. The main networking activities are too generic, insufficiently highlighted, and the proposers not have just sufficiently justified the networking activities that concern the involved staff members. So for the excellence, this was it. I will give the floor to Justina, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. So the second criteria, impact, has the weight of 30%, as you can see, and it has 4 sub-criterion. 2.1, it is developing. No, Liana, back, please.
It wasn't me.
No. It wasn't you.
Someone else had the control.
Someone else has control. Okay, can we move to the to my impact?
I cannot move the slides.
Maybe.
Okay,
yes.
Now it's back. Yes.
Yes. So now we are here and 2.1. So the first sub-criterion is developing new and lasting research collaborations. And among the strengths, I would like to mention the following. It is very important to have already well-established collaborations between some partners, but evaluators highlight that adding new partners is very important too, because it will lead to the development of sustainable and lasting research collaboration. Evaluators also press the point that it is very important that cooperation should last beyond the duration of the project. In our proposals, we should also explain in details how secondments and other activities will help to develop sustainable collaboration between the participants. The following weaknesses were identified in evaluation summary reports. It's not clearly discussed if the proposal will strengthen collaboration in the long term. Measures to maintain and strengthen future collaborations are not clearly explained. Next slide, please. When we prepare our proposal, it is also very important to well present how we will achieve transfer of knowledge between participating organizations. We should also highlight what measures we will use, and in this slide you can see such examples as seminars, workshops. As weaknesses, experts listed the lack of details in presenting how the knowledge transfer will benefit participating organization and how these activities will occur. That there is a little information on how the knowledge gained by early stage or experienced researchers during secondments will be used within sending institutions. Next slide, please. In our proposal, we also need to explain how it will contribute to improving research and innovation potential at the European and global level. The following strengths were identified by evaluators: that the proposal will significantly contribute to strengthening European and global research capacities, that the European manufacturing companies will benefit from innovative systems, that these technologies are very timely and of high priority for the EU. And vice versa, as weaknesses, evaluators listed the following: contribution to European and global innovation potential is not convincingly explained or discussed. There is a limited analysis offered about the link between the project and the research and innovation capacity. Next slide, please. One of the impact sub-criterion is enhancing career perspectives of staff members and contribution to their skills development. I would like to highlight the following strengths I found in evaluation summary reports. The proposal clearly explains which new skills will be acquired by staff members. Credible indicators were provided in order to enhance career perspectives and skill development. Career perspectives are very well described. There will be organized scientific and soft skills training. Secondments will be interdisciplinary and intersectoral. Following weaknesses were listed. The project does not clearly indicate what specific skills and knowledge will be acquired and how it will contribute to career perspectives. The training plan for soft skills, project management, leadership skills is not adequately developed. Next slide, please. The 2.3 sub-criterion applicants, in 2.3 sub-criterion, applicants should present plan for the dissemination, exploitation, and communication activities. Here you should present in details how you will disseminate scientific results, for example, through articles, conferences, workshops, project website, exhibitions. Applicants should reach different groups of stakeholders and general public. Among weaknesses, I want to mention the following. The dissemination plan is not sufficiently detailed. Number and time schedule for publications are not defined. The different stakeholders group and specific activities to them have not been adequately discussed. If the project covers a large variety of socio-cultural participants, then you should also consider cross-cultural aspects in dissemination and communication. Next slide, please. What concerns a strategy for the management of intellectual property, it should be convincingly described. It is very good when the strategy is planned by the consortium partner who is experienced in this area. In evaluation summary reports, I found following weaknesses. Intellectual property aspects lack convincingly details or are not well developed. A concrete plan for managing potential IP issues is missing. Next slide, please. And last but not least, impact sub-criterion is the project contribution to the scientific, societal, and economic impacts. Among strengths, I would like to highlight the following. The proposal justifies very clearly its potential contribution to mentioned impacts. That the proposed technology has a strong potential for developing into valuable tool. That proposal is expected to have measurable impact on agricultural industries, and vice versa. Among weaknesses were mentioned the following. The societal and economic benefits at the European level are presented in two generic terms. It is unclear how the project's results will make a difference in terms of impact beyond its scope and duration. Kristen?
Thank you. I will continue with the last criterion, which is the implementation. The implementation has a weighting of 20%, so the score for this part makes up just 1/5 of your final score, but it is also equally important. So there are two sub-criteria. First has to deal with the work plan, the risks and the resources, and the second one about quality and capacity and complementarity of the consortium. Please, next slide, please. So on the quality and effectiveness of the work plan, you will see that the words used here in the feedback from evaluators, they match the wording from the previous scores. So when there are weaknesses, there are no details, the description fails to demonstrate something, and it is unclear. But in case of strengths, the work plan can be consistent, feasible and credible, meaning that it is well described and in line with the project objectives, and as has been stressed by the previous speakers, is well balanced and complementary. Next slide, please. The assessment of risks is very important. As we hear, there are many risks that can befall on the staff exchanges projects. And the strengths are, of course, when the risks are adequately defined and the mitigation measures that are being proposed are plausible and are credible and feasible. In the case of weaknesses, the risks are not defined clearly. They are too generic. Some important risks have not been considered, and the mitigation plan is not credible to the evaluators. Also, the effort assigned to work packages, it has to be clear that the time and the secondments planned to achieve some goals are properly considered. The deliverables and milestones that measure the progress of your project are well placed and well related to the objectives. But of course, the weakness is when this is not in place. Next slide, please. The second sub-criterion about the quality and capacity of each participant. First of all, their qualities and capacities of each individual organization have to be described. And secondly, the complementarities, how the individual participants complement each other are equally important as the capacities of individual participants. So first of all, the roles, profiles of key people, the existing knowledge and skills, the resources and infrastructure that are needed for the project have to be described. And the weaknesses that the information is lacking, it is not clear. And also it is very, very important to make sure that all of the organizations have the skills and the capacity. The last comment here on the weaknesses was quite a frequent one when it was identified that some participant organizations in the consortia lack basic operational resources and capacity due to their small size or incomplete description. Next slide, please. And this is my final slide. So the complementarity is very important. The participants do not have to duplicate one another, but rather have different skills, different strengths that they bring to the consortium. And of course, the weaknesses happen when the proposal lacks details, the consortium is not well balanced, or it overlaps and repeats what has been done by other participants. That was the last slide from my side. Back to you, Stina.
So this is presentation was the finalist, and on behalf of all organizers from Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, I would like to thank you one more time for all presenters, for all speakers, especially for Alexandra, Aro, Oksana, Maxim. Thank you for being here with us. I would like also to thank you, to all participants. And to mention one more time that all presentations and link to this video will be sent via email. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you very much. And